Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Paper Wishes Weekly Webisodes. I'm Sara Newman, and I'm so happy you're joining me for this episode of Saturday with Sara. Today, I'm excited to show you the super fun Beach Vibes collection of papers and embellishments from our friends at 49 and Market. So let's have a closer look, and we can start with our 6x8 paper pack. So I'm going to move aside our other elements just for now, and we can take a flip through this collection. So you've got 27 sheets in here, and you can see the designs on the front of the package. Also on this same front sheet, you get a bonus design here, this beautiful background. So as we're flipping through, you can see the gorgeous colors and patterns that we've got. Nice all over backgrounds, as well as some scenery images in here too. You will have 3 each of 9 designs. I also really like that you're getting some cutout images in here, perfect for the front or the inside of your card. A really gorgeous color palette, really fun and easy to use. So that is the 6x8 paper pack. Then to go along, we've got a collection of 118 laser cut images. So you can see the designs here on the front of the package. Now when I flip over the front of the package, you've also got some bonus elements on here too. All of these cutouts, you can use them individually, or you could of course create borders or use this for backgrounds too. Now the rest of the collection has the laser cut elements on 4 sheets, and you can see here these will just pop right out of that backing piece, and you can use foam tape or adhesive to add them to your project. So you've got flowers, you've got some beach themed elements, palm trees, and lots of accessories. So a lot of fun pieces in here to play with. So that is the laser cut collection. Then we have another set of embellishments too. Some of my favorite things are rub-ons. Now again, with this collection, you are going to have a variety of elements, all designed to coordinate. So you've got your waves and your beach elements. You've also got some really cool typography in here as well for your front or the inside of your cards. And you've got some cool background elements here. You've also got another really great bonus here, this extra space up here that they've used on the back of the cover sheet. You could also use this on one of your projects as well. So nothing is going to waste, which I really love about 49 and Market, in addition to their gorgeous designs that are a lot of fun to use. So as you can see, we have got a lot to play with today. I'm really glad that you're here, and I'm excited to explore the possibilities with you. So come play with us. Let's start with this card, which uses the pattern papers and laser cut elements to create a scene for our card focal. So first, I've covered the card front with this map paper, and this is the sheet that I used, one of my favorites from the collection. And I've then trimmed down some wood pattern paper. Now I only have a little snippet of this left. I used quite a lot of it for today's projects, but you can see how well those two go together. So I've trimmed down the wood pattern paper, leaving a good about 1/2 inch all the way around all 4 sides there so that map paper can show. And I inked the edges of both pattern papers pretty heavily using the Velvet Fawn ink pad. And that's going to create some nice shading on there. So to do this, all you need to do is apply your ink directly to the edge of your pattern paper. So if you want a heavy edging, you can angle that ink pad toward the surface of the pattern paper and kind of scuffle it off to one side. And then you can see the difference between the uninked edge and the inked edge and how that stands out so nicely. So that's using the Velvet Fawn ink pad, which is a perfect color for our pattern papers here today. Then I have the palm tree laser cut image just glued down kind of at an angle, and I have this fence laser cut image going across and then trimmed off at the edges here. Now for detail pieces like the fence, I really recommend using a precision applicator to apply the glue, just to make sure that the glue doesn't go everywhere. So let me show you here with another piece, the chair, which really does have some delicate areas in here, so some finer lines, if you will. So with my precision applicator, I'm going to grab a piece of paper to glue this onto. All I need to do is gently squeeze my liquid glue that I've got in here and go along all of those areas. Not very heavy-handed here, you don't need a whole lot, but with a precision applicator, it really just does make it so much easier to avoid getting glue everywhere. You know, and then you can do a bit more here on the larger surface. And then you simply flip this around and pop it down in place wherever you want that to go. And so then you know you've got this glued securely down. Once that glue dries, you're good to go, but you don't have to worry so much about glue sort of coming out around some of those detail areas. So that's what I've done with the fence here. Then on top, I've got a flower cluster laser cut, which is attached with foam tape. So another different gluing application. And I've got a great big wheel of foam tape that I have from Paper Wishes, and I use it a lot. I use it in large pieces, but I also just trim it apart and apply smaller pieces around on the back side of some of these delicate laser cut images. And then that way, when you position it in place, if you've got your foam tape, you know, around some of the edges with these leaves, which are a little bit finer in detail, that way they don't sort of get crushed, especially if you're mailing your card project. So that's how I like to use the foam tape. And of course, this gives it a little bit of dimension there too. So I have my flower cluster. I have a tropical drink in here too. And then I've also got a little bit of room down here for my sentiment, which is a rub-on. So then for my card inside, I have this rub-on sentiment here applied to the light green pattern paper. So it's this sheet right here. And so I've applied that directly onto the pattern paper, and then I die cut it into a rectangle shape. Now this is using the 12 rectangle and scalloped dies from Hot Off the Press. That's going to give me the rectangle shape and then also this scalloped rectangle here. So I've got some really nice framing on here as well. Now the rub-ons are really easy to apply, so let me pull in some supplies and I'll show you just how simple they are to do. So a couple of things you want to have on hand, of course, your rub-on. You also need your surface, and I'm just putting this onto some white cardstock. You also need to have a bone folder on hand, so something like this. Now when you trim out your rub-on from the main sheet, do keep the top sheet together with that liner until you know exactly where you want to position it. So then what you can do is pull this off. Take care when you're handling this not to touch the actual rub-on on the back here. And then you can kind of play with the positioning where you want it to go. Pop that down and then smooth it into place. There's a little bit of stick on here, so this isn't going to slide around, which is really nice. And I like to kind of fold up one corner of that plastic piece so that I have something to grab onto when I get ready to pull this off. So you smooth that down and then take your bone folder and simply burnish this in place. So you'll want to have gentle, firm, even pressure. You do want to make sure you're going around the outside edges there. It's not an upper body workout, so you don't have to put a whole lot of muscle into it, but you do need to have a pretty firm pressure on here. And I'm going at the angle of my bone folder, so not the tip, so that I'm able to cover more on here. Okay, so I think I've covered the whole area. So then I'm going to use my little handle here and just gently start pulling this up. Now I can see I didn't quite get that edge, so I'll just put it back in place and rub it again, and there we go. So I'm pulling this off gently. Again, you can see, ooh, I was overconfident there. I didn't get this part either. So I'll come back, burnish that in again, maybe give another little roll around here, and just pull this off, and we'll see how I did. Okay, there we go. So then I've got my element all in place, all rubbed on, and I can add this to my project from here. So if you want to, you can then simply take one of your dies and position this on here and die cut from there. Now my die cut actually is the entire rub-on. As you can see, I've actually trimmed off some portions of the lighthouse on here. So you can die cut on a rubbed on surface, so that will also work. And then again here I've got my sentiment, which is a rub-on with that little starfish on there, and then also my floral element popped up on foam tape. So that's just as easy as it can be. There are so many cool images and words in today's collection. You will have lots of elements to combine and coordinate. The next card is using one of the cutouts from the paper pack to set the scene of this focal image with the VW bus. So this is the cutout that I used, and you'll remember that there are two on the sheet, and the other one I've got on the inside here. Now these are a lot of fun because they fit so perfectly as a focal area on the front of your card. Now my card measures 5 by 6.5 inches, and so it really is a perfect fit size-wise. Now for my card front here, I've just trimmed off about 3/4 inch wide strip just from that front panel for a little bit of added interest. And the cutout matted onto sand pattern paper still fits perfectly. Now I've inked all of those edges with the Velvet Fawn ink pad again to give a little bit of shading and dimension on here. Now if I put the two cutouts together, you can notice even without the bus on here that I've got some additional elements. So I've got some sandy area here, which is open on this space, but here it is. This is one of the rub-ons, kind of one of the background rub-ons that is included in today's collection. And then I've got a cluster of 3 starfish. I've got one that's a rub-on, and that's a little tiny one there, and then 2 additional elements, which are the laser cut elements. So you can add a rub-on top of another rub-on, and I wanted to show you that with the rub-on we just demonstrated, here I've added another sentiment rub-on right on top. So that black text is a second rub-on applied onto the first rub-on. So they can work together really nicely that way. So you can layer those up. Now the sentiment, the ocean is calling, this is a rub-on as well. And then I've also added here my VW van. This is popped up on some foam tape. And then, of course, I've got all of my layering and matting on here. And the card front is covered with a brown faux texture cardstock. And then when we look on the inside, you can see I've got this really cool surfboard pattern paper. I really like this one here. So I've used it for the inside of my card. And then I added the second portion of that cutout sheet, so another one with this cool weathered frame. And I really like how you can add so many different elements in this frame area. So of course we've got here the beach umbrella and some flowers and the leaves. And also down here I've got a seagull. And on the front we've got our larger elements. But you can do so many different things. So just playing around with the variety of pieces that are included in the collection. You've got your guitar, maybe you've got your other flower option here. So there's just a lot of different things that you can do to accent that weathered wood frame on here. So for the inside here, I've got my various elements. I've got another rub-on sentiment on here, and everything is, of course, coordinating so easily to come together for this really fun beach-themed card. I'm really excited about this next card because it's using a new to me die called the Triple Box Card Die, and it is so easy to use and creates a really fun surface for decorating. So this is a dimensional design that will stand up like so, but then it collapses to the side so that you can mail it. And when it's flat, it measures 6¼ inches by 4 inches, and then it will fit into an envelope from the hot off the press 10 envelope set. Super easy to do, so let's take a look at the die. You've got one metal piece in here, which will create each of your boxes. Of course, hot off the press always gives you a project idea on the front of the package, and what I really like, they give you another look at it on the back of the package where they have all of the instructions plus your folding and assembly diagram here at the top. Now the red that you see on here is extra sticky tape. And they recommend this, and so do I, when you're working with a lot of these fabulous folded dies, because you do need a little bit of extra security to hold this all in place. So all of your instructions are included in here, but let's take a closer look. So this is the die, and you'll notice, of course, you've got your outside edge. This is going to cut your outside shape, but you'll also see these lines on here. These are your score lines. So when you die cut your piece, you don't have to do any extra measuring or scoring. All of those score lines will be made for you. Now what I also like about this die is that it is a perfect match with the 6 by 8 inch pattern papers in today's collection. So it fits perfectly lengthwise, and you can just secure that down in place with your low tack tape, run it through your die cutting machine, and you've got your box ready to go. Okay, so I've done one box already out of just plain cardstock here, and you can see those score lines. All you need to do is just follow along and fold those up. I do recommend when you're folding these up, grab that bone folder that you used for your rub-ons and give that a little bit of extra creasing, and that just helps everything to look a little bit more polished. Then what you'll do, you'll see you've got a short end here and you've got a wider end over here. Take that extra sticky tape and apply a strip of it here on the short end, and then you're going to wrap this around so that it is a box shape and secure that to the inside of the wider piece. So you'll secure that just like so, and you've got your first box done. Then you just need to create 2 more. Now I've got one box that I've already glued up and assembled, so you can see how this looks. So from here you can add on 2 more. Now I've got another one that I've done, a second one that I've done, and you'll notice this white marking on here. This is about 1/2 inch away from the edge of the box, and this was just my indication to myself where to put my extra sticky tape, which will go along the edge here, and then I'm going to collapse it to one side, and then I can position this box on top. So then when I've got everything secured, it creates a kind of stair step effect. And actually I'm going to show you, let's go back to the packaging here because I think this is a really good visual. Here you'll see the kind of aerial view, if you will. It looks like a flight of stairs, 3 steps in the flight of stairs, and how those are all attached together about 1/2 inch away from the edge. And that's going to help keep you at that measurement so that it will fit inside your envelope. So once you've got those all secured together, couldn't be easier, then you can decorate from there. And so for my card, I made each box from a sheet of patterned cardstock from the collection. So I have the floral, I have this brown texture, and then I have the sand patterned paper here. And then I've simply added snippets of patterned papers. I've got a lot of the laser die cuts on here, and of course I've got some rub-ons as well to finish it all off. Could not be simpler, and it was so much fun to make, and I imagine fun to receive as well. Our final card features a focal scene made with one of the cutouts from the paper pack, plus the tropical bar laser cut and some flowers and leaves and the happiness rub-on. Now this has all been inked, of course, with our velvet fawn, matted onto sand patterned paper, and then the front of the card was covered with that wood patterned paper. It's a super fun and very easy layout. Now when I open the card, we have another fun surprise with the double door pop-up design here, which is made with a cutting die. So let's take a look at this one. So here you will have 2 pieces. You've got your left and your right side of your double door. Again, a project idea here on the front, and as always on the back you've got your diagram, that red on here indicating where that extra sticky tape should go, and your assembly on here as well. Now I've got a prototype to show you. This is what I do every time I get a new die set. especially with those fabulous folded. I really like to do a dummy run, if you will, to make sure I know how everything folds up and is ready to go. So that's what I've got going on here. So what you'll do is die cut 2 of your pieces, of course, left and right. Do keep in mind when this is in place, you're going to be seeing both sides of that paper or cardstock that you're using. So just do keep that in mind, especially if you're using cardstock that has a pattern on it on both sides. Make sure that things are running the way you want them to. Once you have this piece die cut, again, those score lines will be on there for you. Go ahead and fold those up according to the diagram, and then you'll add your extra sticky tape. So here you can see I've got it on this long panel and then also this little triangular piece here. And what you'll do is align the triangular piece with the fold of the card going just above that. You can see it over on this side here too. So you'll adhere that down, and then the narrower flap will align with the fold or the edge of your card. So the fold of the card and the edge of your card. You'll secure those 2 down in place, and then you will have a mechanism that opens like so. So let's take a look at the inside of my card here. So with my card, I first covered the inside with that wood paneled paper. I went ahead and inked around the outside edge of this as well. And then I die cut my doors with just plain cardstock. And the cardstock I'm working with is from the At the Shore collection. So this has beautiful colors that, of course, perfectly match today's pattern paper collection, and worked really nicely for my double doors. So I've got those secured in place, and I think if I angle this, you can see how those mechanisms are secured down. And then you decorate from here. So on the inside, I've got this, I guess it's a surf shack right in the middle with some foam tape popping that up. I've got my sentiment down here at the bottom. That is a rub-on. And then I've decorated both sides of the double doors with some of those laser cut images. On this side, I've got some surfboards. You may remember from the back of the packaging, you've got some cutouts on here. And so that's what I've done. I've just cut those out and then overlapped them here on the inside of this double door. Super fun and easy to do, and I think just a really neat way to incorporate even more of these really super fun elements that we have been playing with today. And that is our final card project of the day. A big thank you to our friends at 49 and Market for these really fun supplies. And a special thank you to you for joining me today. We're really glad that you're here, and we're happy you're a part of the Paper Wishes family. Do feel free to leave a comment. We love to hear what you think. Each item can be purchased separately, and you can see them below. However, we've also bundled them into a creative money saver just for you. For the money saver, see this webisode on paperwishes.com. And if you're watching us on YouTube, have a look in the description box below this video. You'll find a link that will take you to our Paper Wishes webisodes page, and you can see everything I just mentioned. If you enjoyed our video today, we'd really appreciate a thumbs up. It helps people to find our channel. And don't forget to subscribe. We create 3 to 5 videos each week, so there's always something fun to inspire your creative spirit.